What is up, New Beginnings Church? Happy Tuesday morning to you, and welcome to this devotional series we're doing called Lessons from Peter, but we're about to wrap on Lessons from Peter. As a matter of fact, we're so wrapped on it that we're done with 1 Peter and 2 Peter. And so just to finish out the week, I thought it would be fun to go into the gospel narrative and to really just kind of pull some of my favorite stories from the life of Peter so that he can still keep teaching us. So let's dive in. His story begins with Jesus in Mark chapter 1. It says, as Jesus walked beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. Come, follow me, said Jesus, and I will send you out to be fishers of men. And at once they left their nets and followed him. You know, this is the beginning of Peter's story. It's also the beginning of our story, that at some point in our life, we made the decision to just start leaning in to where Jesus was, being around. Maybe it was like, all right, I started going to church, or all right, I started this, or started reading my Bible, or I returned to church in a long time. And what we're saying is this, I don't even know that I fully believe everything. I don't know that I'm fully confident in everything, but I just know that Jesus, I need to get closer. And so we start following. And I just need you to wrap your head around that. Even the disciples, before they believed, they followed. Just get as close as you possibly can. Just follow, because I'm just telling you, it's worth it. And so what you want to ask yourself is this, big three questions. Number one is this, am I following? Like, okay, I'm supposed to be a follower of Jesus. Am I actually following? Do I look to Jesus as the hero of my story, as the model to build my life around? You know, again, so many of us are taking our cues from culture, and we're following people in culture, and we're following their philosophies and their ideas. It's like, no. Christians follow Jesus. He is the hero to our story. So I want to follow him. It means I need to read about his life. I want to pray and have a prayer life with Jesus. I want to be connected to Jesus through fellowship, through my church, through serving, through all. I want to follow. So next question is this. Am I currently following? Meaning, like, if everything I just said made total sense to you, you're like, oh yeah, totally. Yeah. What that tells me is that at some point in your life, you know how to follow. But the question would be, are you following currently? Is it like, no. Because the problem we run into is that sometimes our relationships can go stale, right? If you've been following Jesus for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, longer than that, then a lot of times, you can start treating Jesus like you would, maybe a relationship where you're like, it's like an old pair of pants. They just fit so nice. Like old pair of shoes. It just slips on. But like, I want our relationship with Jesus to be dynamic, and I want it to be fresh, and I want it to be current. Number 3 is this, am I actively following? So again, some of us fall into the trap of saying, well, of course I'm a Jesus follower. I believe. Believing is not following. Let me say that again. Believing is not following. The book of James actually challenges this idea. James says, you think belief, like just mental belief, matters? He goes, demons believe. That doesn't matter. So he goes, this is not about, do I believe that Jesus is divine, or do I believe that Jesus is special, or do I believe that I should follow? No, this is saying, no, I'm actively following. I'm doing all those things that draw me closer to my relationship with God. And then lastly, I'm going to give you one more, because this would be the real test. Number 1, am I following? Like actively, currently, am I doing that? Okay, because watch, because he says these words when he talks to Peter and Andrew. He says, follow me, and I will make you a fisher of men. The ultimate test to see how closely you're following Jesus is actually that right there. Am I living life in such a way that I'm so following Jesus, I'm so actively engaged, I'm so excited about my relationship with Jesus that I can't help that it spills over into every other area of my life, all the other relationships that I have, and then I'm using those relationships to draw those people closer to Jesus, because you and I now believe this, because we've been seeing it, feeling it, experiencing it. We believe it with all our heart now, that my life would be better if Jesus was in it, and Jesus makes me better at life, and I want that for everybody around me. I want everybody to walk around with peace and hope and love in their heart because of their relationship with Jesus. And so the real question is this, again, am I following? No, am I currently following? Am I actively following? And does my following help draw other people back to Jesus? Great questions to wrestle with today. Hope you're learning from Peter. The big walkaway is this. Whenever Jesus says follow, just say yes and start walking. Church, I love you so much. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.